Hey besties, it's Jeramie. Now, our personal stance is that if you're actively listening to a true crime podcast, you're generally somewhat prepared and aware of the fact that some not so great and heavy things are going to be talked about, which is why we don't normally do these. However, listening back to this week's episode as I edited it, I kind of felt that it was necessary to have a little disclaimer at top, as Kirstyn's case is very lengthy and it's also quite a lot to take on all at once. So I did just want to take this moment to let you guys know that I apparently don't know how to speak, but you've been listening long enough to know that by now. I would like to take this moment to advise you that listener discretion is advised. Please make sure that you are adequately prepared to listen to this episode. Don't let that deter you. Right now might not be the right time for you to listen to it, but come back tomorrow. Just be prepared. With that said and done, please enjoy the episode.
This every time, but what is our microwave? What's the microphone called?
Also, I am actually vibing with this look. I dig it.
No, you look really cute. I was gonna say that, like, when you first popped open, I was like, oh, we're having like a flano moment with the buttons though. Like, no, it's cute.
I'm actually vibing it.
Oh, you look really cute.
It's an ensemble, an ensemble.
I'm
if I want to be real obnoxious about it,
wearing my work pants.
Once you get down to the second half, it's literally just trackies. I'm sorry. You are listening to Rent Free in My Head, the podcast where we take the thoughts that are squatting in our minds and set them up with residence in yours, free of charge. Each week, Kirstyn horrifies me with a true crime tale. This week's especially so.
Yeah, girl. And Jeramie just, honestly, I think he just mainly does it to irritate me. He tells me a mystery, and it's, or something unsolved, or something spooky, or just something that I will have a lot of thoughts on. Really. You always tell me stuff that I will comment about.
I have an interesting one this week. It is not so much a case, it's more of maybe kind of like a shallow dive into a few different stories following the same theme.
Ooh.
But it's a fascinating one, I'll give you that.
Well, I'm excited. I'm sure I will have lots of comments.
You always do.
You know what? I like to understand things, and how am I going to understand them if I don't
ask questions?
Ask questions, exactly. Just trying
to and for once going into it, I know exactly what you're going to cover. Well, I know in advance the topic. I kind of know the case, but not a lot. But I know that I'm going to have a lot to say, and that we'll probably go through this entire bottle, which is going to be extra fun because right after this, we're going to record our first bonus episode, which we have decided will be called, I forgot it already.
Squatters Anonymous.
Yes, it will be called Squatters Anonymous. And those will come out on the last day of every month. So if you're listening to this the day that it drops, get excited because you've got another episode to listen to tomorrow. You're welcome. Thursday's the 30th, right? Yeah, Thursday's the 30th. But that'll be fun. Let's see how that goes. Kirstyn, how was your week?
Good. A little sad, but good. On Monday, I went and saw the new Jurassic World movie. So good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Dinosaurs, yay. Sam Neill, yay. Laura Dern, yay. I'm completely blanking on the other guy's name and I feel like an asshole, but yay.
If you're talking about Chris Pratt, then
no. Fuck Chris Pratt. I hope he dies. Bryce Howard Dallas, yay. Literally everyone else in that movie but him, I like.
Okay.
Didn't go to see it for him, just like Dinosaurs, and I had plans with Bean Pie to go watch something else, and then some other people, like, kind of didn't really follow through on the plan. So we were like, fuck it, we're gonna go to dinner and a movie with ourselves.
Yes.
But,
best thing to do. That's so cute. Love a good little friend date.
Yeah, it was so adorable. It was really cute. We got some dinner at Groove Train. Because we're groovy girls. But also on Sunday I got to meet my cousin's new baby. He's so smart. And that is my new
He makes a
hat.
great hat.
He does. Honestly. I don't know if I showed you, but I also made him put the root finger up. Which was the
You
highlight.
did not, but that sounds like you.
I'll send it to you. My cousin, she saw me do it, and she's like, and this is why you're not allowed to be unsupervised with the baby. And I was like, wow, I have a degree in early childhood education.
It should be taken away from you.
Just because I make babies put the root finger up?
I would not be surprised if a child under your care's first word was fuck.
Oh my god, what a mood. I sometimes don't realize how much I swear. Actually, you know what I just remembered? It was like a few years ago, and I was visiting Tamworth, which is a country town in New South Wales.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a Target, and I said something like...
Is that the town that has the big guitar?
Yes, the golden guitar. Yeah. I was there, and I think I said, like, fuck or something like that. I swore. I don't remember what capacity it was, but it wasn't, like, a super bad swear word. And this old man was just, like... And gave me, like, the dirtiest fucking look, and was like... young ladies shouldn't swear. And I was like, I ain't a fucking lady.
Clearly.
But I just thought it was that fucking hilarious. I was like, bestie, you know what? Me being a lady has nothing to do with what words I choose to use. And that's a hill I'll die on.
That is fair.
But, yeah. How was your week? Did anything exciting happen?
My week was okay. It's kind of been like the longest week for some reason.
I felt that as well.
The whole week felt like it was 2 weeks, and then all week I've thought it was a day ahead, so it's been even worse. Umbrella Academy Season 3 dropped on Wednesday, which was fucking dope. I'm halfway through. I haven't finished it, but... more than anything, this week I've literally just been going insane because... So at the time of recording, in case you haven't already picked up on it from the 1,000 times that I've mentioned it, Monday is my birthday. At the time of listening, guys, that's the Monday just gone.
Yeah, that your birthday was on the 27th of June.
Yeah. I've only been using the excuse, but it's my birthday for the entire month. But... I'm slowly going insane and stressing out of my mind because I do know that stuff has been planned for me on Sunday and Monday. However, I have no idea what. And being a massive control freak and not knowing what I'm doing, where I'm going, who with, or even what time to be ready or what to wear has me ripping my hair out. So...
Okay, well... I'm going on Sunday. Yay!
Cool.
Fuck you, you little turd.
No, thank you. I'm sure it's going to be amazing, and I'm really looking forward to it, but also, I'm not great at surprises, and at the time, it seemed like a great idea, and I did this last year too. It seemed like such a great idea at the time to be like, yeah, of course. Go ahead. You plan it. I love that. I'm totally here for it at the time. And then the closer it's gotten, I'm just getting more and more uncomfortable with the fact that everyone else knows what's happening and I don't.
No, I was going to say to make you feel better, but I feel like that would just make you feel worse, so don't worry, I'm not going to say.
Cool. You're going to say that none of you actually know what's going on either, aren't you?
I mean, I know a skeleton version of what's happening.
Look, there's going to be a skeleton? Okay, now I'm keen.
No, look. The plan wasn't super set in stone, but I did get a little bit of clarification today, which is nice. And if it's not further clarified in the chat after we end this call, then I'm going to message again and just be like, so just confirming, and then I'm going to write out the plan to what I know.
Okay.
And then it'll be fine, Jeramie. It'll be fine.
As you can see, I have the utmost faith in that, and I am not stressing out a lot right now.
There's a place, and there's
How
a
about
time
you?
decided.
How about you take my mind off of how very uncomfortable and stressed I am right now by just telling me this horrific tale?
Are you super duper excited?
I'm really not.
I wouldn't.
And I'm the one whose idea it was.
So if you haven't guessed, which I doubt many, if any of you would have, I'm going to be covering Ivan Milat. It was Jeramie's idea because of...
A few weeks ago, you told the story of Mama R nearly being a victim of Ivan Milat's. And a couple of days after the episode dropped, I turned to you and was like, hey, now that you've brought him up, maybe you should, cover him at some point, maybe soon, and we can even try and pinpoint where in the story that happened. And you were like, oh, that's a great idea, Jeramie. I haven't started my notes yet. I'll do it this week. And as we saw last week, that did not happen. And I wasted my Bleeding House story. But that's okay, because I reckon I've got something good to just pair with it.
Okay, look. In my defense, last week was a really hectic week for me. I worked 6 days straight. I had plans on the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. And I think I just got a little bit overwhelmed with life, which happens sometimes. So
that's fair.
Just, have supportive friends, like a little.
Are you feeling a bit more whelmed this week rather than overwhelmed? Or are you underwhelmed?
I feel like I'm just uneven whelmed at the moment. Okay. Just in the middle there. Maybe edging towards overwhelmed, but that's me 90% of the time. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
But
I will say I know who he is and I know his moniker, but it's at the point where my brain is full of so much true crime stuff that it now just kind of blurs together. And you'll probably reach a certain point in the story where I'll be like, of fucking course, yep, now I know exactly where we're going. But honestly, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head anything more than that he's the backpack killer.
I actually didn't realize how much I did know about the case. Obviously, it's Ivan Milat is Australia's most prolific serial killer. I feel like everyone fucking knows who he is. So I at first was just kind of well, yeah, I know who he is. I know he was some dude back in the day who kidnapped and murdered backpackers in rural Australia. It happened in New South Wales. I think that's all I thought that I knew. But then when I was reading a bit more of the details and stuff like that, I was like, oh, wait, no, I did know that. Or, I do remember reading that, or I do remember hearing about that. So, it was interesting, but then also I did learn new things that I didn't know about it as well, which I always like learning new things anyway. And I just recounted my notes. You know how I thought I had 7?
Mm-hmm.
I have 9.
That's fair. But they're also handwritten pages.
Oh,
so...
yeah, and they're, like, small pages as well. So, it's like, you know.
But that's still a lot for what you normally have.
Yeah, I think I normally only do about 6, so...
But for once, I can actually give the heads up at the top. For those of you not from Australia and or not aware of this case, strap in, maybe do as I've done just now and pour yourself a glass of wine because
he's not
you're
a
gonna
great
need
human,
it.
guys. He's not a great human.
He does the bad a lot.
Literally there. So, before I really get into him, I did want to kind of point out the obvious, and that's Wolf Creek.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't know if have you seen the movies and the show?
I have not.
Okay, so I can't remember if I've seen the second one. I think I have, but I've seen the first movie, loved it. I think it's actually it's a really good Australian horror movie. Like, I actually quite like our Australian horror movies, and this one is good. I haven't watched the TV series. I am interested in watching it. Fun fact, the guy who plays the main character, Mick Taylor, in the movies is the same guy who reprised his role in the TV series. So it's the same guy that plays him the whole way through, even though I think the series is just technically like another retelling of the story. So his name, oh god, I've done this like completely out of how I was going to fucking tell you, but okay. Sure, Kirstyn, crushing the game. So the guy who plays it is, oh my god, I was like, did I seriously not write down his fucking name? I did, I'm just special and couldn't find it. His name is John Jeramie. So you might know him as Mick Taylor, or he was in fucking McLeod's Daughters.
I never watched McLeod's Daughters.
You're a piece of trash. But anyway.
Tell me something I don't know.
Okay, so he plays a really, but it's so weird too, because John Jeramie plays, the biggest fucking sweetheart in McLeod's Daughters. He's such a nice guy, such a sweetie, such a good Aussie bloke. And then in fucking Wolf Creek, he obviously plays Mick Taylor, who's a fucking psychotic killer. So it's a bit damn, son.
Bit of a change, something different.
Literally, though. But okay, hold on a sec. So yeah, the guy, it's completely, massive, I don't know if juxtaposition is the right word between the two characters, or, that he plays on McLeod's Daughters and, the character of Mick Taylor. But when I was reading up about it, so I thought that, Wolf Creek was, literally just, basically, written about Ivan Milat.
It's not quite. No.
No, it's not. So when I read up a little bit more about it, because I was like, oh, okay, I just thought it was kind of the vibe. So what had happened is the writer, Greg McLean, had originally written an Australian slasher horror film in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
And then after seeing, media coverage of the whole, backpack murder and everything like that, he was inspired to rewrite his thing, and thus Mick Taylor was born. But he wanted to craft Mick Taylor from, I don't know how to say this word. Archetypal. ARCH.
Yeah, I know exactly the word you're trying to say. I
was supposed to Google how to pronounce it before we started, but I forgot.
Archetypal, yeah.
Okay, archetypal. Okay. So he crafted Mick Taylor from an archetype. I can't fucking do with that word. Archetypal famous Australian experts such as Steve Irwin. What? And then combined with the darker national figures as Ivan Milat.
Yeah.
And basically what's his face? Greg McLean turned around and was like, the movie was really about, like, what would it be like to be stuck in this incredibly isolated place with the most evil character you can possibly imagine, who was also distinctly Australian.
So, dude from Wolf Creek is a hybrid of Steve Irwin and Ivan Milat.
That's what I got from it as well, yeah. And
okay.
Yeah, I was like, I read that and I was like, what the actual fuck, dude?
Yeah, you're not alone in that one.
I was like, oh my god. But, like, the film, like, contains references to the Milat crimes and a little bit of wordplay, which I thought you would like.
I do love
and
wordplay.
I have a vocab lesson because I don't know if you know what the word is. 'Cause I'd never heard of it before. So the word is, I'm gonna fuck up how to say this. And I also wrote it really messily, so now I'm paranoid that I'm not gonna read it correctly. Oh, okay, cool. I gotta back up. Okay. Semordnilap. Yep, I feel confident with that pronunciation.
Semordnilap.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what that word is?
I don't think I do.
Ooh, yeah, I get to teach you something. Okay, so a Semordnilap is a word that can also be read backwards, but the backwards spelling forms an entirely different word.
Oh, okay, so it's not
example,
a palindrome, it's...
No,
yeah.
no.
Okay, so it's...
So, like, the example would be, like, pan. So, when you read it
oh my
front
god.
ways, it's pan, but when you read it backwards, it's nap.
It's literally palindromes backwards.
Yeah! Oh my god, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Anyway, you learn a new word!
Didn't even have to see it before me to be able to put that together. That is actually really cool, though. I love that.
Right? And but the cool thing is they added an extra letter, so it's kind of like a form of it. So in the movie, the setting of Mick Taylor's camp is I didn't have time to watch the movie to remember how to fucking pronounce it, so I'm just guessing. Navithleum Mining Co., which is actually like Ivan Milat with an extra H spelt backwards, which I thought was kind of cool. And I was like, that's pretty handy. Well, not handy, but I just thought it was interesting.
That is actually pretty cool.
That they did, like, these kind of, like, little, like, references to Ivan Milat. So, but yeah. Oh, and, so the movie originally came out in 2005, and then they did a sequel in 2013. And then also when I was reading about John Jarratt, there was rumors on one of his pages that apparently there might be a third one.
Ooh, that's cool.
And I'm like... So that could be interesting. But the series ran from 2016 to 2017 and is on Stan, which I think I'm going to watch now that I've researched Ivan Milat more.
Okay. I do know that there's a series. I've never watched it, but I've also never watched the movies. I might look into it, though. At the moment, I'm watching Heroes.
I quite like the movie. The bottom of my fucking stubby hole is, like, sticky. That's weird.
Ooh. It's a bit how you going.
A little bit. But anyway, so, now onto the actual super sucky shitty person.
Yay, the fun is over. Can we go...
I was like, if I reel...
Can we go back to that phone call with your sister?
About foundation, which I know so little about.
That was a fun 25 minutes of my life.
I thought it would be. Anywho, so Ivan Milat was born on the 27th of December, 1974, to Stephen Milat and Margaret Piddleston. I thought her name was hilarious. We can laugh at it because she's a shitty human. Literally, the only reason I named his parents is because her last name was Piddleston. I read it and I was like, hee, Piddleston.
Do you reckon she has a tiny bladder? Because it sounds like she piddles a ton.
That was brilliant. I love it. And then, so also, he was the 5th child of 14 children. Like, damn.
These people need to get a TV at some point.
Literally, though. Like, Fucking Christ.
Clearly they need hobbies if all they have to do is fuck.
Like, honestly. And, like, there was 10 boys, 4 girls. And all of the boys were known to local police. So, like, all of them were shitty.
Cool.
And this is, like, my, like, favorite little quote about his family. It literally reads, "His father was often violent, and his mother often pregnant." It's just like, oh my god. You're not fucking wrong.
Yeah.
She had 14 fucking kids.
Because they don't have a TV.
Jesus.
Just pick up a hobby. The needlepoint.
Read a book. Read a fucking book, people. They've been around forever.
Like, at some point, tell him, no, this coochie is closed for business. I'm sick of squeezing watermelons out of it.
Literally, though. But also, like, clearly she should have stopped after 4. Just saying. And apparently Malat showed antisocial behaviour early on, and he even spent some time in a residential school. Not really sure what they are. I'm assuming it's kind of like a reform school. I did try and Google it, but it just kind of brought up boarding schools.
Yeah.
So I was like...
I'd say that that's what it is, residential school, because, like, you live there. It's your residence.
But they weren't super rich, so that's why I more thought maybe it was like, and also the fact that it was in the same sentence of him having behavioural issues, that I was like, he got sent there because he was an annoying child?
Then all children
But
should
anyway.
be sent away.
Jeramie. Now,
Oh,
I
wow.
shall list his crimes before the big crimes. So, we start with
Also, just the little
age
ones.
17. Yeah, basically. Age 17. He got put in juvie for theft. This was in 1961. 1963. Age 19. He was involved in a shop break-in. Age 20. He spent 18 months in jail for breaking and entering. Age 21, which is 1 month after he got out of prison, he was arrested for driving a stolen car and got 2 years hard labour. That apparently didn't teach him shit, because during that time, he got arrested again.
Well, hard labour
and got
didn't
3 years for theft.
hard labour didn't teach his mother to close her legs, so, like, what's it gonna do to him?
Damn, girl. Fucking firing shots. Alright, so, moving on to his extra shitty one. I don't like this one the most, apart from obviously the backpack murders. Age 27, he was charged with the abduction and rape of 2 18-year-old hitchhikers. I hate him so much. So this was about 1971. While he was awaiting trial, he robbed a few places, faked suicide, and then fucked off to New Zealand for a year. Well, after he came back, he was rearrested in 1974 and went to trial. But his lawyer, oh, I'm so mad, did some homophobic fucking bullshit
Yay!
and got him acquitted. Do you want to know how he got him acquitted? Because the fucking lawyer, whose name is John Marsden, by the way, he was a closeted gay little fucker, right? Which I'm not shitting on him because
ruin
he's
the
gay.
name John Marsden. Oh, no, I'm thinking James Marsden
No,
is
I
the
know.
hot guy.
You're thinking James.
Yeah,
Don't stress.
okay,
No,
that's
he's
fine.
Gorgeous. No. John Marsden is like a weirdo. But anyway, so he was closeted gay, and he went to a gay bar, and he saw the 2 alleged victims there. So then he went to court the next day and was like, they're lesbians, guys. They're lesbians. Ew, lesbians. Gross, lesbians. And then everyone was like, ew, lesbians!
I mean, same.
And decided that Ivan Milat could just it's fine, he can go. Doesn't matter that they accused him of raping them, or that he abducted them. He can just fuck off because they're lesbians. I'm like, who cares about lesbians?
So, how did he get around the fact of admitting how he knew that they were lesbians? Because he couldn't come out and tell them that he went to a gay bar.
I'm not 100% sure. I read that line and got so mad I had to move on because I was so frustrated with the fact that this person was a closeted homosexual. He clearly knew how shitty it would be to be out, and he fucking... Like, I don't even know if they actually are lesbians or if they were just in a fucking gay bar, because sometimes a gay bar is the only safe place for a fucking woman to get a drink.
Yeah, and... regardless, one way or the other, you shouldn't be outing other people.
Literally, though, that's such a shitty fucking thing to do.
That's not your journey, and your... Ooh.
Yeah. This was me raging last night when I was doing these notes. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And then, later on, John Marsden becomes, like, a gay rights activist, and he does some, like, bullshit or whatever. But he also, like, apparently expressed regrets.
The hypocrisy!
Of getting Ivan Milat off. He was, like... Mind you, he was still Ivan Milat's lawyer for, like, a good hot minute. And it was only when Ivan Milat fired him right before his trial for the 7 murders.
Well, that's why he regrets getting him out, because it means he got fired.
Yeah, so I fucking hate that guy so much. But anyway, we continue.
Yay.
So, from about 1975 onwards, good old Milat got a job as a truckie and worked on and off for the roads and transport for 20 years. Super ironic that he worked for the government. While murdering people. Yay. Also, apparently, which is super fucking gross, in around 1975, he met a 16-year-old girl, then married her 8 years later. Can you say grooming?
Yeah, that's literally the first word that went through my head. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, no. No, oh my god, dude, there was like some fucking tea in this next bit. Like, it's tea. I'm getting all the tea out of the way before we get to the yucky part.
This isn't the yucky part!
No, bestie. Okay, so her name was Karen. So they got married in 1983. They then divorced in 1987. And she actually stood up in his trial and was like, that motherfucker is gun crazy. Ew, don't want to be around him. He's a massive piece of shit. Mm-hmm. And everyone else was like, fucking fair bestie, except for a couple of people. But apparently, while some of this shit was going down, I think it was more in the 60s, nope, I don't like using his first name, Milat had an 11-year affair with his brother's wife.
Okay. Now there's some tea.
Yep. I didn't know this part, and I was like, what?
Which brother? There were 10 to choose from.
No.
Or 9.
It was his brother, Boris, which ironically is the only family member to speak out against Milat. Boris is a terrible name. No, I did the same thing. I was like, Boris and Ivan. There's also a sister named Shelley. I was like, were you guys just like on crack when you were naming these children? No wonder they did shitty things. Actually, I think Boris didn't really ever do anything shitty. He kind of seems like a pretty good guy, to be honest with you.
Boris sounds more like a sidekick name, like a villain's sidekick, a minion. Like...
Oh, there was also a Richard.
Ugh, what a dick.
Right, he actually is. He makes some terrible decisions.
Boris to me is kind of like Igor. Like, I picture him being Dr. Frankenstein's assistant.
He's not horrible looking either. I was like, I'll get you a photo.
Okay, but whether he's hot or not, you're not going to want to call Boris out in the middle of doing the do.
Oh, actually, you know what? I looked at an old photo of him. And then I just looked at like a really bad photo of him. I'm like, damn, girl. Ooh. oh fuck, I think I just saw a photo of young Ivan and I was like, oh my god, he's hot. I take back everything I've ever said and I'm disgusted in myself.
I'm disgusted in you.
I will send you what he looks like.
Okay.
Okay, wait. So this is... No, I won't send that photo first because that'll give away something else. Okay, I'll send you the picture that I was like, ooh, he's kind of hot. And then I was like, fuck, I think that's Ivan Milat. And promptly felt gross. Paste.
No. Because I know who it is. So no.
Yeah, see, because you know who it is, you're like, no. Okay, but...
Sorry, I'm a better person than you.
Yeah, well, we already knew that. This is the brother, and I think he just looks like a wholesome guy.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it gets juicy.
Ooh.
Because the woman standing next to him...
Is the wife?
No.
Oh.
Is the love child between his wife and brother. Right? I had no idea Milat had a kid.
She's his daughter niece.
His what?
She's his daughter niece.
Daughter niece. You know what's funny? Her name is Lenice. I didn't even think of it. Oh my god.
This is my daughter, Lenice.
Oh my god. Literally though. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Oh, that's so good.
So, really sad. When she was first born, Boris thought that she was his kid because him and Marilyn had other children together. So
Best
he was like,
he
oh, it's
knew.
just like another one of my kids. And then apparently when Boris found out, because the affair came to light, Boris actually drove to Milat's house with a gun and almost killed him.
Whoa, he should have done better.
And it wasn't, no, literally though, it wasn't super clear in the timeline when exactly this was. But Lenice was born in 1965. So I'm assuming it was like, why are you, oh, because I said that. So I'm assuming it was like late 60s, which is before a lot of the super shitty stuff happened. So, like, yes, it would have been super handy if Boris had done that. However, Boris decided to do the right thing and raise Lenice as his own.
Fucking Boris.
I know. And
Be a
Lenice,
shittier human next time.
Literally, Boris. Lenice never actually found out that Ivan was her dad until he was arrested. So,
Ooh.
yeah, and we'll touch back on Lenice and her feelings on her father after we've spoken about all the
So at that
things
point,
he's
did she stop being Lenice and become La Daughter?
I don't think so. Missed opportunity, though.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity. Also, super fun fact, apparently Marilyn, who just a reminder is Boris's wife, once Ivan and his groomed wife divorced, asked Ivan to marry her, and he said no.
Ooh, I don't know what's worse, the asking or the rejection.
By one of Australia's most prolific serial killer. So, now we move on to the bad.
Yay, it gets worse.
It really does. I just feel like that should be like my new fucking
It
tagline.
is your tagline. I literally put that in the show notes of one of the episodes.
That's true, you did.
Kirstyn leans into her new motto, "It gets worse," and that was Georgia Tan. Because literally,
yeah.
you'd say something,
That's right,
I'd react,
every,
and then
like,
you were like,
10
"It gets worse." I'm like, it always does.
Yeah. So, we move on.
That's fine. I will get you back.
You got me back with the fucking weird.
Oh, no. I mean, I will get you back with the horror.
Oh, okay.
So, depending on how my week goes for time, maybe next week I will finally do that Australian case that I want to do, and you will not enjoy it.
Yay! Okay.
We'll see.
So, the following timeline is all set in the Balango State Forest in New South Wales. So, for those of you unfamiliar, that is where our victims were found. Bum, bum, bum.
New South Wales is a state in Queensland. Not in Queensland. It's a state in Australia.
Yeah, sorry. New South Wales is a state in Australia. It's actually where I was born.
It's the one that's in between Queensland and not South Australia, Victoria. I'm really bad at geography all of a sudden.
And then ACT is just in the middle of New South Wales. Not really in the middle. It's kind of like down the bottom.
Yeah, just like off
Inside
on its own.
though.
Because we needed to put our capital somewhere, apparently, and no one wanted to claim it.
No, they were fighting. Sydney and Brisbane were like, I want to be capital. I want to be capital. And then everyone was like, no, wait, maybe it was Melbourne. And then everyone was like, no, you can't. You know what? We can't decide which one is going to be the fucking capital, so we'll just make a whole ass new territory. And you know what we'll call it? Australia capital. Why can I not fucking? Oh my god. Australian Capital Territory. Is that what it is?
Yes, ACT.
No, I know it's ACT, but is it Australian?
It's Australian
Australia?
It's Australian Capital Territory.
Capital Territory.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was R or N. So yeah, we were literally like Australian Capital Territory. God, Australia. Such a little fucking like whiny little bitch.
There's no need to be all Emily about it. Like, calm down.
I was literally thinking the same thing. So yeah. Okay, so on the 19th of September 1992, 2 runners discovered a concealed corpse. By the 20th of September, police discovered a second body only 30 metres away. These bodies were later identified as Caroline Clark and Joanne Walters. Caroline was 21 years old and Joanne was 22 years old. Joanne had been stabbed 14 times, 4 of those in the chest, 1 in the neck, and 9 in the back. Obviously, the back ones paralyzed her.
Cool.
Whereas Caroline had been shot 10 times in the head, and the police believed that she had been used as target practice. I did also read in one article that she was found with a blindfold, though I am not 100% sure if that's true or not. Don't really know if that's better or worse, to be honest with you.
I'm also now starting to remember the details
Also
of this case, so...
Oh my god.
Yay. Yay.
It's worth noting, just going to give myself that all of the victims were found face down. So, we go to October 1993.
I am in the world by that point.
I'm in my dad's ballsack. A local man looking for firewood in a remote part of the forest found some bones. He obviously got the fucking police because he's a normal human. And the police discovered 2 bodies. The bodies were of James Gibson, who was 19 years old, and Deborah Everest, who was also 19 years old. What's weird about James is that his camera was actually found in 1989, so 4 years prior, and his backpack was found in 1990, which is 3 years prior, and these items were found about 120 kilometers, so you're welcome, American friends, 75 miles away from the Balango State Forest. James was found in the fetal position with 8 stab wounds. They were cut through the spine, which obviously paralyzed him.
That would take so much force
and it was the
as well.
upper spine as well. So the upper spine. So cut through the upper spine, which paralyzed him. Obviously, other places in his back. And his chest, which would have punctured his heart and lungs. Whereas Deborah was beaten, her skull was fractured in 2 places, her jaw was broken, she had knife marks on her forehead, and she had 1 stab wound in her back. So we're seeing a bit of consistency here with backs.
Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of... It's so much overkill.
Overkill. Yeah, there's a lot of it. 1st of November, 1993. The police do a sweep of the forest and they find a skeleton in a clearing along a fire trail. This was later identified, and I'm just going to put in here the next 3 victims. They are German and European and stuff like that. So they do have last names that I'm not super sure on how to pronounce. I did try and Google it and stuff like that, but it wasn't super accurate.
Yeah.
So I do apologize for mispronouncing these because I know I'm going to, but I still want to try because they deserve it. Okay? So the skeleton found in 1993 was identified as Simone Schmiedl. It's kind of like Schmidt, but it has an L on the end. So I'm gonna go Schmild. I'm just gonna put a little on the end. She was 21 years old. She had 8 stab wounds. 2 had severed her spine. The others punctured her heart and lungs. So, also at this scene, clothing was found that didn't belong to Simone, but matched the description of another missing backpacker.
Oh.
So obviously police kept searching because they were like, this has got to lead somewhere.
Yeah.
So on the 4th of November 1993, so just 3 days later, there were bodies found on a nearby fire trail in shallow graves 50 meters apart. They were identified as Gabor Nujabauer, who was 21 years old, and Anya Havsfield, who was 20 years old. Gabor was shot 6 times in the head, and I'm not going to lie to you, Anya is probably my least favourite, or like the one that kind of breaks my heart the most.
I'm assuming you mean the death, like, that she's like your least favourite person.
Oh, no, yeah, the death,
Okay.
sorry. Anya was decapitated, but her skull was never found. So while her family has the rest of her body, they do not have her head.
Were they able to determine if it was post-mortem or...
Bit hairy on those details, because there was evidence that the victims didn't die instantly from their injuries.
Yeah.
And that Malat would often paralyze them at the beginning.
And then, okay.
Kinda. So you know how we had those stab wounds in the back? So generally they would be the first ones, and then he would kind of keep going with them.
So that he could have his fun and they couldn't fight back. And it hurts to use the word fun in this context, but I know that that's literally what it was. It was...
Well, yeah. There was also, like, rumours that he was molesting them as well, which wouldn't come as a surprise to me since he did rape those girls, like, back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, and best way to make sure that they can't run away or fight back is to stab their spinal cord.
Yeah.
So...
if they're incapacitated... Oh, I feel dirty even starting that sentence.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't worry. I had similar thoughts and I just was like, yucky. Okay, so moving on with our timeline. On the 13th of November 1993, So by now, the story of the backpack murders or the backpack killer has obviously circulated right across Australia, and it's made its way overseas because this is the 90s. Like,
yes.
They're like, holy shit, like, how the fuck has Australia found 7 bodies, all with all these, like, horrific killings, like...
This is the part that came back to me as you started talking about the... as soon as you said the name of the woods, but the bush, the
forest.
Forest, thank you. As soon as you said the name of the forest, I was like, hang on, this is the one, yeah.
Yeah. So, 13th of November 1993, police receive a call from Paul Onions, who was 24 at the time. He called all the way from
I can't get over the last name.
I know, don't worry, I do not use it for the rest of my speech, because not my speech, the rest of my talking. Yeah, because his name is literally Onions.
But also, Papa and I know someone whose last name is Onions.
Oh my god, I wonder if they're related.
Probably not.
That'd be kind of cool though if they were, just saying.
I can't get over the name Onions.
Oh, that's fine. So, Paul had been backpacking in Australia in 1990, and on January 25th, he had hitched a lift with a man named Bill. And he was heading towards Mildura. Less than 1 kilometre from the Balango State Forest, Bill stopped the car, pulled out a revolver and some rope, and was like, this is a robbery. Paul was like, nah, fuck that, and hightailed his ass out of there.
So Onions started Runyons.
Oh my god.
Onions on the Runyons.
Oh my god, you're a terrible person.
I really am.
Yes. Paul managed to flee while Bill was shooting at him. Paul then flagged down a car, obviously when he was, like, sufficiently away from the murderer trying to murder him. Mm-hmm. And he was picked up by Joanne Berry, and they went to the police together.
Onions and Berry?
I know, I knew you were going to do it. I was like, wait till he fucking hears the lady's name, I swear to God. It's like a food pact.
It's not a good mix. You don't want onions and berries together, but I just...
Ow. Yeah. So, the police apparently didn't make any connection in 1990 to, realistically,
they had because they hadn't started finding the bodies until, like, 92,
this was 2 years before they'd found any bodies. Yeah. So they were just kind of like, oh, that's a bit weird, like, we'll take a report of it and everything like that, like, and, we'll try and figure out who it is, but...
They wouldn't have even really had any missing persons reports either if they were all backpackers from...
Yeah.
They were all foreigners backpacking, so who's going to report them missing and know where to report them missing anyway?
Exactly.
Especially in the late 80s and early 90s, because cell phones, social media, none of that a thing. If I went backpacking, which if I ever go backpacking, there's something wrong. That's clearly code for help, I've been kidnapped.
Literally, though.
But if I were to go backpacking and go missing nowadays, it's quite likely someone's going to be able to report me missing.
Me a meme within, like, 2 days, I would be like, yeah, something's wrong with Jer-Bear. He hasn't sent me a meme.
And you would know roughly the last place I was.
Literally.
Because... I'd say something or I'd update something.
You would probably send me a fucking pun.
Probably.
Based on where you were.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, so he sent me a pun about Viagra Falls on the 22nd. So he was there on the 22nd, so get your little cameras and find out what the fuck happened.
Yeah. But back then, that's not the case.
Exactly. And they were just, like, and obviously, like, they had run, like, fucking Paul would have run for a hot minute before flagging down Joanne.
Yeah.
So, you know, and, like, how the fuck are they gonna, like, really police that at all? It's just like, hi, I am from England and a fucking Aussie bloke tried to shoot me.
Yeah. Like, it's not...
It's understandable why nothing really came.
Yeah, especially, like...
I feel like that's what we're trying to say.
If this incident were to happen, say, sometime between the first bodies being found in 92 and... the other and 93 and they didn't really connect the dots, especially it being literally outside that fucking forest, then we would obviously be sitting here going, what the fuck, guys, what is your problem? But
also
you can't make a connection before the fact.
You've got to think as well, this being such a big case, it was being handled by, like, New South Wales police.
Yeah.
Not just an individual police station, which is what the original report would have gone through.
Exactly, yeah.
So, nothing really happens with the phone call. I think it's just kind of, like, a bit, like, jotted down or something like that, being like, you know, this guy named Paul called on the 13th of November, said this. Police obviously continue trying to investigate and everything like that, figure out what the fuck is happening. And then on the 13th of April 1994, detectives re-find the note regarding the call from Paul. And then they work at corroborating the story with Joanne. So, super cute.
Oh, I hope it went very well.
I knew you were going to. I was waiting for it. I was like, he's going to make a fucking pun about Barry. So, super cute. Paul actually flies back to Australia to help out with the police investigation. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Ivan Milat and his brother Richard were already, like, a bit suspicious, because they're just low-key, like, shitty people, and the police are like, y'all are fucking shady as shit.
Well, yeah, they were already known to police as children.
Yeah, as children. So they're like, y'all do some shady shit, like, you've been arrested a bunch of times, and then also because of the sexual component to the crimes, the investigators had been reviewing old,
like, past
crimes.
offenders, and yeah.
Yes, and not necessarily just the ones that went through a conviction, which means that the 1974 rape allegation against Milat was revealed, and it was also revealed in that allegation that Ivan sometimes went as Bill.
What a plot
twist. So there's your connection between good old Ivan Milat and the so-called Bill that assaulted Paul. Timeline gets a little bit hazy here because I just realized that I went the wrong way. So, I forgot to mention back in February, because I wrote it weirdly, on the 26th of February, police had started surveilling the Milat home.
Okay.
So at this point, Ivan lived with his sister, Shelley, who he apparently suspected to have had an incestuous relationship with, which could also be why he turned down marriage proposal from Marilyn, because he was getting it from his sister. Bit gross. But he's a piece of shit.
Still not the grossest thing to have happened so far in this story. I feel like that I can just kind of shrug off and be like, yeah, okay, sure, makes sense. Which is not good.
Disgusting. No.
Very yucky.
So yeah, it's also revealed to police around this time that Milat had sold his car after the first two bodies were found and obviously got a different car, which is a bit like, a bit how you going? So,
do people decide to just wave red flags and hope that no one sees them?
I think that's what serial killers do sometimes. So, 5th of May 1994, Paul, who has obviously come over to Australia to try and help with the investigation, positively identifies Ivan Milat as the one who tried to off him. The police are like, sick, let's get an arrest warrant to nail him on at least that charge.
You know, when you hear someone start talking and your brain autofills,
What did you just autofill me?
let's get an erection.
Oh, what?
Literally, I hear you go, let's get an erect, and my brain just goes, Chun. And then you finish with stwart, and I'm like, that's not where I thought this was going.
I was about to say, why the fuck would I be talking about erections? But honestly, it's me, so it's a possibility.
Once again, work is stuck in we are 3 days into the same debate that we've had multiple times about how to pronounce the word masturbate.
Masturbate! It's masturbate.
We have been stuck in this mass debate for days, and it's not even the first time this debate has occurred. No. But Papa and I have collated all of the data, and what we have found is that of the people we have spoken to and asked, anyone 26 and under says masturbate. Anyone over 26 has said masturbate. And if you Google the pronunciation for Australian English, British English, and American English, all three of them say ma, not ma. So something happened in 1995 and y'all are broken.
I was born in 1996, thank you very much.
Right, I keep forgetting that I'm currently 28, but in 3 days' time I will not be 28. 96.
No.
Something happened in 96 and y'all are broken.
No, we're not.
But also, just for the sake of my data collection, please let us know.
Please leave your age and pronunciation.
Yes, please let us know
DMs.
how you say the word masturbate.
Masturbate.
If you say it like mass or master. If you say it correctly or if you say it like Kirstyn. And how old you are, so that I can
Jeramie?
just make a spreadsheet.
Jeramie, because you are the master.
Master is not a part of the word, though.
But it's fun.
It's a whole different word.
Masturbate.
Oh, I'm gonna stab you in your sleep one day.
That's okay.
Which will be really easy because you're always sleeping.
I really am. Could happen at any time.
Literally.
Oh well. I'll be fine. I'll be going out while I'm sleeping.
Which is
sounds like a good
bound to
me.
happen with you anyway.
Fucking probably. Would not surprise me. I just really like sleep. It's my happy place. Okay?
One day you will get to go to the big sleep in the sky.
And I will be ecstatic.
Ecstatic.
Yeah. Ecstatic.
You know what? I will also be ecstatic because...
Yeah, because we're going to deal with my shit
exactly.
anymore. I like how we're both assuming that I'm going to die before you. Actually, that tracks. I do a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. Alright, so 1994. Kirstyn has still not been born.
It was a better time. The world was a better place. People knew how to say the word masturbate.
I was gonna say Cindy and Courtney were born, but Cindy and Courtney also pronounce it master. Whatever. Anyway, then on the 22nd of May, 1994, so that's only, I can't math right now, really quickly, 17 days later, Malat is arrested in his home on robbery and weapons charges relating to Paul's attack. Now, obviously when they did the arrest, they were like, hey bestie, not a bestie because you're a piece of shit, we're also going to search your house and see what other shit you got. Also, because you have a weird relationship with your family, we're going to search their houses too, because y'all Malats are shady as fuck.
All 13 siblings' houses, or just like a select few?
2 of his siblings died,
Oy.
by the way, at some point.
Okay, so don't search their houses.
I didn't, look into it super well, because I didn't really care that much.
Is there
It just
any
says
possibility it was
he killed
at
them?
his hand?
I don't think so. I think it was just kind of like more like natural
Okay.
causes because they were poor and it was the 60s.
Just stop being poor.
Oh yeah, Jeramie, if you can't pay your rent, just go buy a house.
Just stop being poor.
Yeah, just stop. I wonder how ScoMo is doing after he had to move out of the big fancy house. Or did he just buy a new fancy house?
He's set for life because don't they get...
right, the retirement plan.
Yeah, they get a lifelong retirement plan.
Which I just think is really, really dumb.
What did he do during his time other than avoid responsibility and...
Jeramie, he went to Hawaii when we were on fire.
And then everything that happened with COVID was not his job.
And then the fucking flooding. And then, you know what, Jeramie, he gave some really sound advice.
Oh, he did manage to, have a really good, strong push for his religious discrimination bill, which is not against religious discrimination. It is allowing you to use your religion to discriminate. So, he sent us back to the 60s. I'm not salty.
So I'm assuming it was just kind of like his mum's house and Boris's house, probably.
Oh, right, because he lived at his sister's house, so they were already going to be searching her house anyway.
Yeah, so then I think they were just kind of like, well, I mean, he lives with his sister, like, he fucks her too, so may as well check everyone out. And at least 28 weapons, including 2 that matched the ones used in the murders. It's like the same like bullet type and everything like that. 250 kilos of ammo. Right, that was my face.
How many pounds is that for the Americans?
Oh, shit. Sorry, I forgot to do that.
It's a lot. That's a lot of weight. That's like 5 of me.
kg to lbs is pounds, right?
Yeah.
551 pounds. Holy shit. That makes it sound worse.
Yeah. That's probably why Americans use the imperial system, because both Fahrenheit and pounds make everything sound so much... And feet, because they measure everything in feet instead of meters. So all of that makes everything sound so much like more Emily than it is.
One of the things where it was like 50 meters apart, it was like conversion to feet. And I was like, no, fucking dumbasses, just use meters. My God. If you can't figure out how many meters it is, it's not my fucking problem. But anyway. And a bunch of the victims' belongings. So the victims' belongings included foreign currency, and let's be honest, the Malats had not really travelled outside of Australia, so it couldn't fucking be theirs. Clothing of the victims, their sleeping bags, tents, cameras. Like, why the fuck would you keep their cameras? Are you trying to get caught?
Trophies.
No, I know, but still.
They all make the same stupid mistakes. They keep a piece of the body, or they keep an item of the person. You're begging for someone to find it, and you get caught.
God, at least Hannibal ate the evidence. Okay. So with all of this, they were obviously able to up the ante on the charges. And on the 31st of May, 1994, Ivan Milat was charged with the 7 backpacker murders.
That we know of.
Yeah. By the 26th of March, 1996, Kirstyn is inside her mum's tummy, brewing up to be excellent.
Awful.
The trial begins. Throughout the trial, he was like, you know what? It was dick. It was fully dick. I didn't do shit. I am innocent. I never killed anyone. It was all dick.
Typical man. Blaming
Really,
his dick for everything.
A total of 145 witnesses took to the stand, so that was for both sides, not just the bad or not just the good.
Yeah, that's still a lot.
That included members of his family, locals. Paul took the stand. His ex-wife Karen took the stand. I'm pretty sure Marilyn took the stand. Also, apparently she states later in life that she still loves Ivan.
Ew, make better life choices.
Disgusting.
That's yucky.
Miss Piddleston.
I forgot about Piddleston.
No, literally, though. She's such a piece of shit. She maintained the entire time that Malat was innocent. She was like, he would never do that. He's such a good person. No.
He's my
Y'all
good little
fucking
boy.
batshit crazy. It's disgusting. There was so much evidence. So much evidence.
He's not even her firstborn or her lastborn. Like,
fucking
he's
fourth.
one of the he's fifth. He's one of the middle. He's well and truly one of the middle kids. Like, I could understand if he was the eldest and he was the most treasured, like, or the firstborn, the precious one, or the baby, the sweet precious angel. But a middle child? Since when has a mother cared?
Sleeping with his sister?
Since when has a mother cared about a middle child?
Ask Cindy. Probably never.
I mean, Cindy's a poor example anyway.
And even Malat himself took to the stand on the 18th of June. By this point, Kirstyn was born.
Thank you for the updates.
No problem. She was bringing joy to the
To
lives
no
of
one.
her sisters and mom. Damn. Rude. Then, after a tenuous trial, on the 27th of July, 1996, Kirstyn was almost 2 months old.
Oh my God. Are you going to do that for every date that you say for the rest of your case?
No, I just wanted to do it. Also, this is the last date. Nah, it's not the last date. The jury found Malat guilty of all 7 murders. He received a life sentence on each count without the possibility of parole. He was also convicted of the attempted murder, false imprisonment, and robbery for Paul, and received 6 years in jail each. That's how it was worded, so I'm assuming it was 6 years in jail for each conviction, which means it's 18 years total on top of 7 life sentences.
Yeah, I think.
That's how I read it. Like, it was kind of worded weirdly.
Sentencing in itself is weird because, like, I don't get how you can serve 7 life sentences. I mean, you're going to be serving your eternity in hell for this.
No.
But the whole 7 consecutive life sentences doesn't make any sense to me, because what happens when you die? Does someone else step in and continue your punishment? Because that's not fair.
No. I think it's just more of each person gets their little bit of...
Is it in case someone's half cat and they're gonna, like...
Oh my God, no, you weirdo.
I
think it's so that each victim and each victim family feels like he got what he deserved. Like, I don't know, I would be pretty pissed off if I was like fucking Anya's sister or something like that, and they were like, yeah, he's just gonna get 1 life sentence for Simone. I'd be like, fuck you, what about Anya? Like,
okay,
he
yeah,
deserves to be sentenced for her life.
I get
well.
that, okay.
I think that's more where it was going. So, a little bit more obviously I told you earlier that his daughter Lanice,
who is now the daughter.
Yeah, the daughter didn't find out that he was her dad until he was arrested. But apparently she has come out in a couple of interviews. She ended up selling her story to Women's Day. I couldn't find the Women's Day article because for some stupid reason it wouldn't fucking let me go to it. I couldn't find the original article, but I did find some snippets of it and everything like that. So she did keep the Malat name. It's also worth noting that Marilyn, her mum, also kept the Malat name, and she is kind of.
Do you reckon that she wanted to marry Ivan because at least that way that marriage she wouldn't have to change her name?
No, I think she was just in love with Ivan the whole time.
No, I don't want to believe that someone's decisions can be that poor.
She literally kept the Malat name because she loved Ivan. I don't think it had anything to do with Boris. Ugh. When Ivan was arrested, Boris was the only member of the family that was straight up he's a piece of shit and I can't wait for him to die.
Okay, Boris, you know what, Boris? You could have made that happen sooner if you tried harder.
So, yeah, he was just straight up fuck this asshole. I hate him so much.
I mean, it probably doesn't help that he fucked his wife for 11 years.
Yeah, literally there. So, Boris made no secret of the fact he was looking forward to Ivan's death, remarking that he hoped he passes before me. He admitted that he doesn't love his brother because in his eyes, that would be like him forgiving him.
That's fair.
So Boris just straight up was like, no, he's a piece of shit. Fuck that. Whereas Lanice and Marilyn was still kind of in love with him. She's like, I'm not in love with him, but I will always love him, is what she's quoted as saying in a particular. Let me just find it again. Yeah, so she said, but also her quote does not fucking make any sense. It didn't make sense to me, but I don't know if I was just really exhausted, so I'll read it out to you. It said, you've acquired your day. Oh, wait. No, actually, I'll read that afterwards. We'll talk a little bit more about La Daughter.
Okay.
So, what was I reading? So, yeah. So, La Daughter is kind of like, I will always love him. I don't want him to die. Whenever she looks at him, she's like, did he, didn't he? So she's not even sure that he did these brutal 7 murders that he was convicted of. She's still kind of on the fence about it. And she's like, I think he's an ass and a character, but he's brutally honest. That's not to say I always like him. So I think in her mind, she's like, well, he's like a super honest person, and he obviously has continuously throughout the years been like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Mm. So she's just kind of like, okay, well, it's got to be him. And then there's also, she's quoted as saying, if the police assumed him, why did they take as lengthy to cost Malat along with allow him to establish himself right into a serial amazing, oh my god, she writes so fucking weirdly. Amazing that they assert he was, as well as likewise permitted youngsters acquire eliminated. So I think she's basically being like, well, if the police thought it was him, why the fuck didn't they move in sooner before he became a serial killer? And it's like,
they didn't... The bodies were skeletons when they were found. So the serial killings happened well and truly before the suspicion was on him.
You can't fucking arrest someone on unless you have absolutely enough evidence that you think you're going to be able to convict them. Because if you arrest them too soon, they got off. They can just fuck off to another country and keep killing.
Yeah.
Or they can fuck off to a different place and keep killing.
And circumstantial evidence, but also that doesn't that thought process doesn't add up because, fair if they found fresh kills. They found
literally though. They found
skeletal remains, and it takes a while to decompose down to a skeleton. So those killings took place quite some time earlier.
Yeah, literally though.
By the time the first body was found, he was already a serial killer.
Honestly, I just don't think the daughter is very smart. Like, this fucking quote really pissed me off. She was like, people identify that I continue to be in the area. So from that, I get that she still lives around where it happened, and that they comprehend that I'm a Malat and it's been hard. So she's like, it's hard that my last name is Malat and I still live in this area. And it's like, yeah, because people are mourning the fact that your dad fucking confirmed murdered 7 people.
Literally. It's
for fun.
It's hard for you.
It's
How do you think it feels for the families?
Families.
Like, yes, okay, you also played no part in this, so yes, it is. I do get that it's hard for you, but that's a whole different ball game.
But if I found out that my fucking dad was a serial killer,
several ties.
Yeah, literally though, while it would be a little bit hard to stop loving him as my dad, I think the main part of me would still be like, no. You murdered people. I think
the fact that you're forgetting here as well, though, Kirstyn, is that, so how old was she at this point?
So she was born in 65. He was arrested in 94.
Okay.
94.
So she's 39.
No, she's younger than that.
29.
1994, take 1965. 29, yeah, she's 29.
She's 29. Okay, so she's my age as of Monday. For 29 years, she knew him as her uncle, not her dad.
Her uncle.
That's a tie that is a lot easier to sever. Yes, she just found out he was her dad, but she also just found out he's a horrific piece of shit. That tie should be so easy to cut that it would be like a butter knife through a steak knife through butter. Sorry, because the other way I went to do it didn't work properly. Like, that should just sever immediately. Bye bye.
So then you'll be really, really excited to hear the next quote.
Marilyn's a different case if that's where you're going, because she was fucking him for 11 years and then wanted to marry him, and she's like all in love with him. And
I was going to continue with La Daughter.
Oh, great. What else does she have to say?
In May 2019, piece of shit Malat was diagnosed with terminal esophageal. Thank you. Esophageal cancer. He was briefly treated at the Prince of Wales Hospital before he was returned to the jail, and he died in the medical wing of the prison on October 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, many people are not fucking saddened by that piece of shit's death. However,
God,
I am really disheartened over the whole factor. Everything worrying Ivan made me discouraged. He was my dad. That isn't dispiriting. When they lost their papa, the whole world might be thrilled that he's gone, yet I'm not. I've dropped my papa. I have actually not had the capacity to go after years as an outcome of him. Everyone recognizes that I inevitably can. I'm alright, yet I'm not genuinely. See, she talks weird.
Okay.
But she's literally just straight up like...
She does have a right to mourn his death, and 100% I get that. I'm not going to take that away from her, but... I don't even have the words.
And then, again, her mum also speaks a bit oddly. She's quoted as saying, "You've acquired your day. Ivan is dead presently. We such
presently?
as Ivan..."
Permanently.
Yeah,
He's not coming back.
I told you she speaks weird.
It's
We suched as Ivan. Everyone suched as Ivan. He was appreciated. You actually did not comprehend him. So that's Marilyn, who is like fucking in love with this motherfucker. So, I just briefly.
This is why we shouldn't listen to women.
I'm not biting. Not biting.
Maybe these two women in particular.
Oh, these two. No, do not. So
what?
I do briefly want to go over some, as you know, because you saw me at work when I found a That's Life article about, that says, did Ivan Milat kill my sister? Our 43-year fight for the truth. And this whole thing is about, this woman named Pam Mitchell. She's 62 years old. She lives in Newcastle, New South Wales. And it's about how her sister went missing and there's never been any kind of resolution to the case or anything like that. However, she suspects that Ivan Milat killed her, and she also mentions 2 other women, I think it is. I think she has a strong belief that Ivan Milat had something to do with it.
So it fits that timeline?
Yeah, so it fits the timeline, and also he was building roads nearby where it happened, and he was a major suspect in the disappearance of her sister and a couple of other people as well.
Do we know roughly what year time period the killing... Because we know when the bodies were found, and we know that the Paul Onions thing... that Onions was Runyons from the Gunyons in 1990. But the other killings, I'm assuming they probably would have been between 85 and 90. To be skeletal remains, it's definitely more than 2 years.
So I'm not going to go too much more into the article in That's Life. If you want to read it, it's quite interesting. But I did found a different article which actually lists about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cases and stories which are really similar to the crime scenes and what happened to the confirmed 7 murders. Now, the confirmed 7 murders are just what the police could pin on him.
Mm-hmm.
That is what they could convict him on. The detective who was on the case does believe that Milat did more. He doesn't think that those 7 people were his only victims. He believes it is a much bigger number. But as I said, those are just the 7 that they could convict him on.
Honestly, that forest is a big place, not to mention his history. There's no way in hell it was only those 7.
Exactly. So I'm just going to go through some of the stories that share similarities with what we do know about the 7.
Cool.
So we go to 1971. Kieran Rowland and her sister were travelling in separate cars on their way to a hotel in Canberra. But Karen never arrived. Her car was found later in like a outskirts of town. And then, Kieran, not Karen. Sorry, it's Kieran. And then apparently the next day, Milat was boasting to his workmates about killing a man and burying the body in a bush. 3 months after that fact,
why are men always boasting? Like, you always hear this about the men that kill. I can't say I've heard a tale of a woman killer boasting to her friends.
Yeah. Because they're stupid. So 3 months after this, Kieran's remains were found 15 metres off a track near Canberra. And she was found lying on her back with her arms above her head and her clothing pulled down. And there was a beer bottle near her head.
How far is Canberra from where he's situated, though?
So he was working on roads, though, at the time of this.
Oh, right, because he was a trucker.
Yeah, so he became a truckie in 1975, but before this he still did, like, odd jobs and everything like that. So he was, like, building roads and shit like that. But if we go Canberra, and then I go to, oh my god, I just forgot how to spell the forest.
Balango.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know how to spell it. Yeah, okay, it was how I thought. Balango Forest. It's about, it's only 2 hours. It's a 2-hour drive.
Okay, it's not implausible,
so it's not like a super far trip.
It's not like saying, it's not like connecting me to a case in Canberra.
Oh, no, yeah. So her case has never been solved.
Which is where I do all my crimes so that no one can connect me to it.
You then have Robin Hoynville Bartram, who is 19 years old, and Anita Cunningham, who is 18 years old. They were student nurses, and they were hitchhiking from Melbourne to Queensland. Robin's body was found under a bridge near Townsville.
Mm-hmm.
She had been shot in the head with a rifle, which is the same weapon, a .22 caliber rifle, which is the same weapon that was used by Ivan Milat.
Townsville is very far away, though, because Townsville is North Queensland. But you've got to
remember, again, he was, like, working on roads, and he would have been travelling up and down.
But into Queensland and far north Queensland, that one, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. She was naked from the waist down. Anita was never found. Police did examine his movements around the time of the disappearances, but they couldn't officially link him. There is also best friends Gabrielle Junk, 18, and Michelle Riley, 16. They were hitchhiking from Brisbane to the Gold Coast in 1972. A week after their disappearance, Gabrielle's body was found at the bottom of a steep embankment on Pacific Highway, so halfway between the two destinations. And then Michelle's body was found 10 days later in Bushland, and she wasn't wearing any underwear, and her dress had been rolled up.
Did they exhibit the multiple
the crime
stab
scene
wounds
showed
and
similarities to Milat's murder scenes? I think these are more the crime scenes that were doing it.
The crime scenes, yes, but like the rest of
the area,
everything. Well, I'm not even thinking about the area. The MO was so very specific of like the multiple shots to the head and the multiple stabbings to the back.
This is 20 years before the bodies were found, so he's got 20 whole years of murdering people to really figure out what the fuck he likes. And in the beginning, I think it was more about the rape than about the kill.
I guess.
Because he did have that rape conviction in 74.
Yes, it's...
So...
I'm just thinking
sure I got the right
in regards to the...
No, I like MO and everything like that.
The MO, and then on top of that, some of the locations, like the Canberra one... Yeah.
Yes, but the Queensland ones are a bit...
The Townsville and the Brisbane to Gold Coast, because those are also quite... Brisbane... Gold Coast is also...
Gold Coast to Brisbane's like 2 hours.
Yeah, Gold Coast to Brisbane, not so much, but I'm talking... Like, even Gold Coast is still a decent chunk away from the border. It's like, it's not... It's
pretty close.
It's like, what, an hour to 2 hour drive to the border?
An hour.
Okay, so it's an hour drive, and then on top of that, it's another hour and a half drive to Brisbane.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus however far from the New South Wales-Queensland border Milat was.
But it also
even
would
if
make
he's
sense
working,
if he was doing it over state lines.
Even if he's working roads, I feel like he's not going to have gone that far from home to be working on roads, because what would be the point of sending someone on a 4-hour commute to work on roads during the day and then send them home? Because let's be real, the government is not going to put them up to stay overnight.
No. So the next one does make a little bit more sense. And the next one is the sister of the lady from the article.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, and there was 3 girls who disappeared at the same time, and it was Leanne that was the woman's sister.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
This is the 3rd time you've checked that.
Oh, I just want to be, I don't want to get it wrong.
I know, I'm more just poking fun at your memory.
It's fucking ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie to you, I couldn't remember the name of the forest before. It wasn't the fact that I couldn't spell it, it was because I physically couldn't remember the name.
I know. Because
so
there's really only one way to spell Balango.
Oh no, shut up. Anyway. Okay, so you have Amanda Robinson, 14, Leanne Goodall, who was the lady's sister, 20, and Robin Hickey, 18. No, we're not going to have any giggles over Hickey?
It's a victim. No.
Okay, good.
We've covered this. We have our lives.
That's true. They all disappeared while waiting at bus stops between December 30th, 1978 and April 21st, 1979. So they actually all lived in New South Wales Central Coast, and they were all snatched at night while they were alone. None of them had ever met, but their cases were near identical. So even if these 3 girls were not killed by Malat, they were most likely killed by the same person.
Okay. That is fair. That's a fair assumption.
Leanne was last seen at a hotel. Robin was last seen walking on the highway after meeting a friend at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And Amanda was also last seen on the Pacific Highway. The main suspect at the time was Ivan Malat.
Okay.
In the late 70s, Malat was a road worker in the area and stayed at hotels in the surrounding suburbs, including the 2 hotels that the girls were last seen at.
Yeah, that tracks then.
Oh yeah, this next part is fucking disgusting. Though Malat attended an inquest into their deaths, he offered nothing to help investigators and denied having known the women or ever having picked up a hitchhiker in that area. He can be quoted as saying, "I can look these mothers in the eye and tell them I wouldn't do that sort of thing to anybody."
What year was his? What year was his?
This is in 19.
His rape allegations. What year was that?
1974. So this is 4 years after the rape allegation.
I can look these women in the eyes and say I would never do this to anybody. After. Okay.
So the inquest was held in 2002. Mind you, this is in 2002 that the inquest was held. And so he's already been convicted and is serving prison time for the murder of 7 people.
But I would never do this to anyone. But
he would never do that sort of thing to anybody. Oh, and you know what's also disgusting? Apparently he made a comment like, I could ask how they could let a 14-year-old, who is Amanda Robinson, run around at midnight. Bestie, it was the fucking 70s. Everyone did it.
Yes, stranger danger wasn't a thing. Daniel Morecambe hadn't happened yet. None of that shit. It's...
Fucking Ivan Malat hadn't happened yet.
Actually, Daniel Morecambe happened after stranger danger was a thing. Because that was
literally. Actually, I was thinking about covering the Daniel Morecambe. I know it's not oh, actually, it is solved. That's right.
It is solved, yeah. That's why it's not on my list.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing it. We move on.
Don't do that next week.
Oh, no, I won't. God, I'm going to give myself a break from super depressing shit.
Give me a happy arson crime next week or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Doesn't have to be arson, just don't depress
a happy
me.
crime. Okay, a happy crime. So,
embezzlement or something.
1980, we have Gillian Jameson and Deborah Balkin, who are both 20.
Mm-hmm.
They hitchhiked often. An evening in June 1980, they were talking to a man with a large, brimmed black cowboy hat. Hello, that's literally what he would wear sometimes. At a pub in Parramatta, Sydney. Later on, Deborah apparently called her flatmate and said the pair were getting a lift to a party in Wollongong on the south coast.
Mm-hmm.
After their disappearance, Malat, who that year had been working in Western Sydney, is understood to have been interviewed and was named as a person of interest during the inquest into the girl's death. They were never found. Elaine Johnson, 17, and Kerry Angel, 18, were last seen in Cronulla, Sydney in late 1979 or early 1980. It's thought that they were hitchhiking to Wyong on the Central Coast and ran into foul play. The main suspect at the time of their disappearance was Ivan Malat, who had been working in the area they were headed to. Peter Letcher, 1987, left the southwestern Sydney suburb of Busby to hitchhike to his parents' home in Bathurst, but he never arrived. 2 months later, some bushwalkers discovered his remains on a forest trail near the tourist attraction, the Jenolan Caves. He was lying face down in a shallow ditch covered in branches and leaf litter. He was bound, stabbed multiple times in the back, and shot 5 times in the head with a .22 caliber weapon.
That one isn't questionable.
That's, yeah, literally.
That is the MO 100% hands down. Forest trail, face down, multiple stab wounds, shot to the head. That's...
.22 caliber weapon.
Yeah, there is no question.
Last but not least. Diane Pinacchio, 29, told a friend after a night out at a hotel in Bungendore. Fucking Australian, how do I not know how to pronounce these names?
What?
Bungendore? Bungendore. I think it's Bungendore.
Bungendore.
There you go.
That, yeah,
right.
Me looking at that, I also, with my knowledge of the English language, went, oh, Bungendore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's...
And then I was, it was only after I was like, we're in Australia.
Yeah. Bungendore.
Alright, so she told a friend after a night out at a hotel in Bungendore in September 1991 she was going to hitchhike the 20-minute drive home to a town just outside of Canberra. Mm-hmm. She was last seen walking towards Kings Highway. Her body was found 2 months later, lying face down and covered in pine branches in the Talaganda State Forest, southwest of Canberra. Her underwear were around her ankles, and she'd been stabbed in the vertebrae.
Again, we got 4.
Yeah, literally though.
4 key factors right there. All that we're missing are the shots to the head. So...
And he didn't shoot every single one either,
exactly. So there is some variation in that, but the parts that did fit his MO are all there.
Yeah.
Okay, so those last 2, hands down, definitely him. There's no question about those 2. The others, I can understand the possibility, but there is so many holes where it's like the location doesn't add or it's missing a lot of key factors. Other murderers do exist. But, right. So...
Yeah. But it's crazy how, like, I also, like, on this article that I just read from mamamia.com, there's a couple of comments where people have also shared, like, run-ins or, like, stories that they've had where it connects to Ivan Milat, and then you have Mama R.
Yeah,
who
well,
has a
do we
story
know?
about Ivan Milat.
Do we know what year roughly that encounter took place?
I couldn't get onto her to ask, so I will follow up with her next week, and then we'll do like a little bit of a what do you call it?
An update.
Yes, an update on it as to when it was. But I mean, she was in Ballina when it like she was trying to go to Ballina, which is not too far from the state forest from memory. I did look it up.
Yeah.
Re-look it up just so I can.
Because she was trying to go to Ballina and he was heading to Grafton.
Yeah. So actually it is quite far away.
Oh. Yeah, but where was she was trying to
actually my
no,
God.
wasn't it that she was Wait, no. They were in Ballina and they were trying to go I'm confused. I don't remember.
Oh, God, I can't remember
because now. Ballina and Grafton were both
she
mentioned.
Was in no, that's right. She was in Ballina. She was trying to go to Lismore, but he was going to Grafton. And Lismore is like this to Ballina, whereas Grafton is down.
Yeah.
So
it's
if you're
like
looking
opposite
at a map,
directions. Yeah.
Well,
not opposite, but like kind of, yeah.
To Ballina.
Whatever this is.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm fucking doing hand movements. Everyone listening is going to be able to see. But, you know what? I'll try and find out what year it was, because if it is, then that connects into the Gold Coast murders.
Oh.
Because Ballina and Gold Coast aren't super far from each other.
But
that means
that he also was in Brisbane, because they were moving from they hitchhiked from Brisbane to the Gold Coast.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But, like, from Ballina to
Brisbane.
But, yuck, don't do that. Belanglo State Forest is an 8-hour drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Grafton's on your way. But if you're looking at a map, it goes Brisbane, Gold Coast, Ballina, Grafton, all the way down to the forest.
Yeah.
But yeah, just go Thunderbolt's Way or the Pacific Highway. This Pacific Highway where a bunch of those people went missing from.
Yeah. Oh, that... Okay, so that aspect does kind of track. It's just there's a long trek between them. I don't know. Don't feel like you have to say yes, I am just going to ask this question. Is that your whole case, or...
Yes.
Okay. It was a lot.
I know. I just wanted to mention the people that were possibly victims. I wanted to cover the people that had actually been confirmed as his victims first.
That is fair. No, the only reason I'm asking is that, and obviously it won't be the case when you're listening to this, but at this point in time, as of recording, we are 2.5 hours in, and I might as well be Mr. Piddleston, because I pee a lot. And I'm yet to go, and I'm kind of dying.
I've been so proud of you.
I was adamant that I was going to get to the end of your case, and it probably would have happened had Courtney not rung you for 25 minutes in the recording.
I think she sent me an update on the makeup.
That's cool. Really low on my list of priorities right now. I am going to go have a pee break, but just to, lighten the mood a little, I have prepared... I normally save my joke for at the end as we're signing off, but I have a joke to share with you.
Oh, okay. I'm very excited.
A woman 3 months pregnant falls into a coma and awakes 7 months later to find that she's given birth. She speaks to the doctor and asks how it went, and the doctor says, "You had twins, 1 boy, 1 girl. No one else was here to name them, so we spoke to your brother." And she's like, "Oh shit, not my brother. Anyone but my brother." Okay, what did he name the girl? And the doctor's like, he named her Denise. And she's like, "Okay, that's not so bad. What about the boy?" Da nephew.
I forgot about that joke until you were halfway through, and then I was like, "Oh my god, wait!"
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go pee and process and unpack that for a bit.
That's fair.
And then we'll come back and we'll delve into the unknown. I do have something kind of fun. People die, but in a fun way.
I'm going to get another drink.
That's also a good idea. All right. We'll meet back here when we do. So, I knew going in that was going to be heavy, especially because obviously I knew that Ivan Milat was like one of Australia's biggest, if not the biggest, serial killers. And I knew that it was a heavy story. I just didn't remember the details, and once I remembered the details and knew the heaviness that was coming, it was not nice. And then the rest of it, on top of that, also not nice. But that's what we're here for. We're not here to cover the nice. We want to bring some levity to this stuff, but there's only so much we can do. We can't sugarcoat everything. It happened, and it's bad shit that has happened, but unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. So, yay. Love that for us. But I, like always, am here to be a shining, beautiful light and bring joy and happiness to the world, or at least to the ears of the people listening to me right now. And I have something that is kind of fun.
Kind of fun.
It involves deaths, so that part isn't fun.
Woo!
But the topic itself is an interesting one. You're also going to hear me talk about some science, so I know how much you love me talking about science. I'm a scientist. It's just a title. That's all you... Yeah. I'm sure that my actual scientist boyfriend will love to know that that's how I view science.
Did you see that article that was like, Bill Nye the Science Guy is now the married guy? I was like, what?
Okay, so scientist is my relationship status. There you go. I am a scientist by association. Because I date one.
I don't think it quite works that way. I like the creativity.
Well, shut up. No one asked you. So, this week I have a real wild card for you. It's, like I said, it's not so much a case as it is a bit of a shallow dive into a couple of different stories that all have something in common, because
it's me. It's
honestly, there is still a lid on that drink. What are you doing, Kirstyn?
I can't open it.
I watched you put it to your mouth, pull it away, and then lift it again. Ow.
I think my brain was like, oh, it's not open, and then I was like... Kirstyn's shitty memories strikes again.
So, I don't know why, but for some reason, I have had a very specific topic on my mind all week long.
Is it vaginas?
Yes.
I knew it.
We will be discussing the mystery of vaginas.
It's a mystery to you. Not so much me.
It will remain a mystery to me.
Pause.
I don't hear anything.
Okay.
Your mic might, but Skype and Audacity pick up different things. Why? What's going on? What's the tea?
Fireworks.
Oh. I thought you were going to be like, besties are having a fight. I'm like, I fucking hope Audacity picks it up. I'm keeping it in.
If my neighbours were having a fight, I'd be like, fucking no.
Okay, Kirstyn has left the chat. It is just you and me, friends. Oh, great, she's back.
Fuck you.
No, thank you.
Okay, no, but like, if my neighbours were fighting, my ass would be like, Jeramie, shut the fuck up, there's tea.
I'd ask you to take the microphone closer to the window. That would be our episode. This week, I will be talking about another unexplained phenomenon, kind of. Kind of. It's something that happens from time to time that simply shouldn't be possible. But...
Gay sex.
Yes.
No, you know what, actually? Men being nice.
Yeah. But before we get to that, you know what it is? It's fun fact time.
Fun facts! It's fun facts time!
So, just like with Stonehenge, I feel like this week the majority of my segment kind of is fun facts, but I've grown really partial to... I've grown really partial to kicking off with my fun facts spiel. So, I made a point of finding some fun facts up. I didn't have a place this time to look up because it's like kind of a few shallow dives. So I did kind of the same thing that I did with Mary Celeste and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I found some facts that are kind of related in that it's a completely unrelated but loosely linked topic.
I love it.
So, the topic I chose and my case have something in common, but they're very loosely linked. And today...
We love a loose link.
Today I have for you some fun facts about cremation.
A topic I am deeply interested in.
Yeah, I was fascinated. I spent an hour of last night.
Morgue girl. I wonder if she knows.
About cremation.
I feel like I'm traumatizing this girl every time I talk to her.
Oh, we definitely traumatized her. I could see it on her face. Oh, yeah. She was well aware as she walked away.
I like how my first straight up question was just like, what do dead people feel like? Are they squishy? And she's like, no. But anyway, so cremation. Tell me fun facts.
All right. So, I'm going to take a drink quickly.
How dare you hydrate?
Yes, hydrating with grape juice.
Well, it's a liquid.
It is. So, I knew that cremation was up there in, I don't want to say popularity, but...
It is a popular way to get rid of people. Or do you mean just like a popular way to like...
in regards to choice over cremation or burial. I knew that it was up there, but I didn't realize until I got to this point that it is actually the more favored option nowadays in most parts of the world. There are some parts of the world where it is still... I'm about to get into the specifics.
Want to be cremated. Just like real quickly.
Because
I'm an organ donor and I don't want to be empty in the ground. I also don't want bugs in me.
I am not an organ donor, firstly, because I'm assuming if they don't want my blood, they don't want my organs. Secondly, I'm aware of the fact that I am a heavy drinker as well as an ex-smoker, so my organs are probably no good anyway. And...
Oh, I just realised I'd put down eyes for donation. Who the fuck is going to want my shitty eyesight?
This is true. But I also... So there's a lot more green options in regards to body disposal nowadays that involve cremation. And I am very partial to the option that involves your ashes being in it's like a biodegradable cup with a seed for a tree. And
yeah, that is
because
cool.
it leaves something permanent. And I like it's giving back, and it's also kind of something there for my family, like my future generations to hold on to. Like, I love having the connection in that my father was scattered at sea. So, and his reason behind that was so that he could always travel the world.
Yeah.
And so that no matter where we were, we could always reach him.
Yeah.
Like, it is simply find a beach. And there's beaches all over the world, fam. Like, I don't know if you know this. They're everywhere. Anyway.
I mean, it'd kind of suck if you were, like, in the middle of Africa.
This is true. But, yes, so cremation actually took the lead as the more popular mode of, I don't know.
Disposal?
I guess we'll use that, yep. It took the lead in the US in 2015, but in some countries this has been the case for longer. So this article was published in 2020. It said about 15 years ago, so I'm going to say about 17 years ago in Canada, and over 50 years in the UK, which tracks because the UK has limited space for burial. Japan has a cremation rate of 99.97%, making it the highest in the world. And if you're wondering where we as a nation land, the only statistic I could find was that in 2018, Australia had a rate of about 69%. Nice. So to properly cremate a body, high temperatures are required, obviously. Temperatures between 1400 and 1800 Fahrenheit or 800 to 1000 Celsius for about 2 to 3 hours. And then the cremains, which is what they're referred to, cremated cremains. So they're not actually ashes. They are the remaining bone fragments, which are then broken down to resemble coarse grey sand. And there's also a common misconception, I've heard this in the past, that what you get isn't necessarily just your loved one, that more than one body is cremated at a time. This is both illegal and unethical in practice. So no, not the truth. My final fun fact, I did try and find a wacky law relating to cremation. Didn't find one, but I did find an answer to a burning question that you asked back in episode 3. So remember in episode 3 when we were discussing the Somerton man's suspected son, Robin, and the fact that they hadn't made the connection until a year after his death and his cremation, and you asked, well, can't they just test his ashes for DNA? Isn't there DNA in ashes? Well, I actually have an answer for that 3 months later.
Yay!
There is technically DNA in the cremains, but barely. So
can't fully erase a human.
While both the teeth and bones do hold DNA and cremains are essentially just broken down teeth and bone fragments, the state that they are in makes it extremely difficult, almost though not impossible, to extract any DNA. So it's not impossible, but it's impractical and implausible, so they're not likely going to even try. Now,
pussies.
I know you, and you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, Jeramie, my guy, these facts are interesting and all, but like, why the fuck are you talking to me about cremation? And how on earth could it possibly be linked to an kind of unexplained phenomenon that you're going to talk about?
That happens all over the world.
And that's a fair thought, to be having. Like, I'm not going to hold that against you. But before the big reveal as to what my topic is, Kirstyn, do you care to hazard a guess as to what I could be covering?
You said the cremation is loosely linked.
Cremation has something to do, has something in common with the topic.
The dead people, is that the common denominator?
No.
Fire. Yes, okay, fire. Phenomenon involving...
Will she guess it, or will this all go up in flames?
Oh, we'll go up in flames. Who are we kidding? What's that show? Series of unfortunate events. That's what you're talking about. Phenomena involving fire that happens everywhere. Bushfires? That's like pretty prominent in Australia.
That's not unexplained. That's...
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think of something unexplained to do with fire. Everything I know about fire is explained. Is it random fires starting, or is it something to do with fire specifically?
You're getting warmer. You're definitely getting warmer.
Something to do with fire specifically?
You were warmer with your first thought.
What was my first thought? Fuck.
Fire's starting.
Fire starting. Weird phenomenon with fire starting. Fire starting randomly across the world. Fire on water. No, I'm kidding.
Usually oil involved in that. Alright, so you're not going to get this.
Yeah,
I didn't think you would. This week, I will be talking about spontaneous human combustion. And no, I don't mean nighttime emissions. I will be entirely honest with you. That joke was in my head from the moment that I picked my topic, and I nearly went in an entirely different direction with my fun facts, but then I realized I did not want to Google that.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, I didn't want to Google it, so I was like, no, we're just gonna leave it at that joke, and we'll go with cremation.
Yeah. Good decision.
I'm not gonna tell you facts about nighttime emissions, they just happen, and no one can explain why. I'm sure there's a scientific response, but science is unimportant. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm so glad that my scientist boyfriend does not listen to this. Science is unimportant!
Oh my god.
So...
Terrible.
And yet, I'm still a better person than you.
That's not hard, though.
It really is not.
Like, the bar is low.
Low is an understatement. Like, it's ground level.
I was going to say underground, but okay. We'll go with ground.
My standards for you are too high, apparently.
Look, if you go in and you set the standard low from the beginning, I can only go up. In theory.
In theory. In practice, not the truth. So, spontaneous human combustion, or as I refer to it throughout the rest of my notes, SHC, because that's a lot of syllables. SHC!
It's like this could be like a sports chant.
Alright, so SHC refers to a human bursting into flames or dying by fire without any clear external origin of ignition.
It's fucking weird.
A belief that the fire originates from somewhere within the body itself.
Bum, bum, bum.
There have been many reported cases of this over the years, as well as it appearing throughout a lot of literature and media, despite it not being able to be proved or understood scientifically, and technically being deemed scientifically impossible. So, okay, maybe it's technically not an unexplained
like,
phenomenon, and there's like
crack.
science stuff more or less debunking it, which I'm going to talk about. Give me a second. There's still a lot of reported cases of it, and I want to talk about it, and this is my segment on my podcast, so I'll talk about whatever I damn well please. Okay, thanks. And also, it's my birthday, be nice to me, and it's Pride. So, this is my last chance to use that, okay?
No, I know. I was gonna get him up here, but I was like, nah, he's only got like 3 more days.
Yeah. So, many of the victims of reported incidents of SHC were either known to be alcoholics or were heavily intoxicated at the time. So I'm at risk. Except it was also generally like overweight females. So we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. We'll burn that person spontaneously.
You'll burn that torso when you get to it.
Spontaneously, though.
Oh,
in earlier...
Don't let them know your next move.
So in earlier years, the alcoholism and intoxication itself was believed to be the cause. So from Botanica.com, this is a big chunk. The victims were often alcoholic and overweight, and more were female than male. So there was a general perception that it was a kind of retribution for a debauched lifestyle. This idea was reinforced by lurid newspaper accounts of suspected cases. It made intuitive sense, after all, that a body saturated with a flammable substance, alcohol, would become flammable. The Victorian explanation that alcohol rendered the body flammable doesn't work, seeing that the concentrations of alcohol in even the most intoxicated people are much too low, and that an external source of ignition would be required. In 1984, an extensive 2-year research project of over 30 reported cases of SHC was conducted, and showed that the burned bodies were often within the vicinity of a plausible external source of ignition. For example, like a candle, a lamp, a fireplace.
I like you're rolling your eyes as you say this, like a candle.
Science, who needs it? It's stupid.
Us.
My
my
eyes are rolling far less than they were through half of your case. Like, when it was the stuff that was just so stupid. I'm like, are you kidding me? I felt like my eyes could not roll further back into my head.
That's fair.
Like, I'm probably going to wake up with sore eyes. They got such a workout in that case. The only part of my body that does, let's be real. Anyway, yeah, plausible external source of ignition, candle, lamp, fireplace, whatever, which were often omitted from published accounts. They also identified a correlation between the incidents and the victim's state of intoxication or other incapacitation, potentially causing them to be careless and cause the incident, or to just not react correctly in response to the incident.
Being on fire?
Oh, I'm on fire. Okay.
Oh, what's that? Oh, it's kind of hot. It's kind of warm. I can dig it. Okay.
The research project also identified something referred to as the wick effect, in which clothing worn by a victim, as well as factors such as couch stuffing, floor coverings, and other factors, can soak up melted fat, acting like the wick in a candle and creating conditions for a body to smolder for an extended period of time. Experiments have shown that this effect can produce many of the unusual characteristics associated with spontaneous human combustion. The one time I didn't type it as SHC, for fuck's sake. Why I gotta do myself like that? It's so many syllables. Such as the complete or nearly complete incineration of the body and the lack of fire damage to the victim's surroundings. And I didn't actually put it in my notes for some reason, but it's basically like, so say the source of the fire started at your waist, because there's a lot of cases where most of the body's burned, but not all of it. It's that fire spreads upward.
That makes sense.
It climbs, it doesn't
Yeah.
go down, yeah. So that's basically where science, you know, that thing.
That weird thing.
Unimportant. Is that's where it's at in regards to SHC. And I know that I basically just debunked my own topic at the start, but I'm still going to go through and share some reported cases of SHC. A, because it's been on my mind all fucking week and it's fascinating. But also, I found this really interesting and wanted to talk about it anyway. And in all of these cases, there is actually still kind of a bit of a mystery to them because there's no, like, we don't actually know the actual cause of death, where the fire started. It's literally just what has been hypothesized. So, the most notable case that I came across, which is actually the one that was jotted down on my list next to the words spontaneous combustion, is that of Mary Reeser. So, at roughly 8 a.m. on July 2nd, 1951, the landlady of 67-year-old Florida resident Mary Reeser arrived at her door with a telegram.
That was cute.
She reached and found that the metal doorknob was uncomfortably warm to the touch, and she called for the police, which, I'm sorry, but that seems a little bit Emily to me.
Yeah, what's on why?
It is not a crime to be hot. Like, if it was a crime to be hot, I would be arrested by now. Let's be real. I'm sorry, you were speaking, Kirstyn?
If I was the cop who answered that call, I would just be like, sick fucking story, needs more dragons, and hang up.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if it's because the doorknob is uncomfortably warm, maybe it already has enough dragons.
That's true. But she didn't mention dragons. She just mentioned that it was warm.
That's true.
Also, I feel like I would just turn around and be like, can you see anything on the inside? Maybe open the fucking door?
Anyway, I feel like this tangent is dragons, so I'm going to continue on with my story. I just wanted to use that part, I'm not going to lie. Upon entering the apartment, Mary's remains, which were mostly ashes, were found among the charred remains of a chair in which she had been sitting. Her skull, which was shrunken, in some reports down to the size of a teacup, her backbone, and part of her left foot, which was wearing a slipper, were all that remained.
Okay.
Mary was known to use sleeping pills, so the theory is that she fell asleep while smoking and that the cigarette fell to her lap and lit her ablaze, setting off the wick effect. Once the body starts to burn, the FBI wrote in its report, there is enough fat and other inflammable substances to permit varying amounts of destruction to take place. Sometimes this destruction by burning will proceed to a degree which results in an almost complete combustion of the body. So that's the reported case I found that had the most information on it and that was mentioned the most. I do have a list of others that I came across that don't have much or any information to go with, but are interesting nonetheless, and they're reported cases of spontaneous human combustion that are worth noting in regards to this topic, because the science adds up, but there is still a factor of unknown to this. Like,
well, how long did it take her to, like, burn? Because, like, wouldn't you wake up once you were on fire?
But here's the thing. We just discussed So she was found and she was mostly ashes. I just told you that it requires
really
1400 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit, 800 to 1000 degrees Celsius for 2 to 3 hours for a body to be reduced to ashes. And that then the ashes that you get in an urn aren't actually ashes, they're just crushed bone. So
How the fuck does that work?
normal fire doesn't burn that hot. So I'm making jokes about how science is unimportant and blah blah blah. I don't actually think that the science has the answer to this, because the state the bodies are found in compared to the requirements to get a body to burn to that level don't add up. So it has to be something, like, unexplained. And I'm just going to say we'll get to it because I don't want to make comments about burning. We'll get to it as I get in further, but it's...
Strange.
There's a reason that I was like, once I got through the science and was like, oh, I guess technically it's not... And I was like, no, I've just read all of these cases. That still doesn't add up. So, in 1970 in Ireland, 89-year-old Margaret Hogan was found burned to near complete destruction. Again, she was mostly reduced to ash in her armchair, with both legs untouched from the knee down. Plastic flowers on a table in the room had been reduced to liquid, and the TV screen, which was 12 foot or 3.5 meters away, had melted. A small coal fire had been burning in the grate when a neighbor left the house the previous day. However, no connection between this fire and that in which Mrs. Hogan died could be found. An inquest recorded death by burning, with the cause of the fire listed as unknown.
She didn't have like a cigarette or anything on her like the other lady?
Well, the first lady, they couldn't find a cigarette butt on her because she was reduced to ash. She was just a known smoker and a known user of sleeping pills. So that is the hypothesis. That is what they assume to be what happened. She was reduced to ash. If her body's reduced to ash, so's a cigarette butt. Like, so that's what they assumed to be the case. Same as they looked into the fire, like the small coal fire that was burning in the grate the day prior. They couldn't find a connection with this second lady. So the cause of the fire was listed as unknown. In 1980, in South Wales, 73-year-old Henry Thomas was found in his living room.
On his armchair?
In his armchair, yes. So
Almost.
in some of these, there is a couple where they are very similar. Is that it's old people in an armchair, but then there's a few that are. I'm like, okay, that doesn't match. So his entire body was incinerated, leaving only his skull and a portion of each leg below the knee. The feet and legs were still clothed in socks and trousers. Half of the chair in which he had been sitting was also destroyed. So, I actually found a news article from 2015 about a woman in Germany who burst into flames on a park bench before a passerby put the flames out with their jacket. I did not find any more about this one. The article did say it was still under investigation at the time and that a suicide attempt hadn't been ruled out. But from what I read, the eyewitness, like the reports from people, like passers-by and people that saw it happen, it just happened. Besides that article, the most recent and actually the first official case of SHC occurred in Ireland in 2010. 76-year-old Michael Faherty. 76-year-old Michael was found with severe burns, lying on his back with his head near an open fireplace. Despite the blaze, the sitting room was untouched from burns on the ceiling directly above him and on the floor below him. The coroner made the surprising call to rule the cause of death as SHC. And so the coroner officially signed the document saying cause of death, spontaneous human combustion. And made the
got flack for that.
She.
Oh, misogyny coming out.
I just didn't include the name because I knew straight off the bat that I couldn't pronounce it.
That's fair.
Calm down.
Yes.
So she made the ruling that the cause of death was SHC and the following statement at the inquiry. Michael was found with severe burns, lying on his back with his head near an open fireplace. What? No, that copy and pasted the wrong part! I think it's that one. Yes. Here we go. So, Dr. McLaughlin, the coroner, said, it's the first name that I can't pronounce. At the inquiry, Dr. McLaughlin said, this fits into the category of spontaneous human combustion for which there is no adequate explanation. So, that's just the ruling. That's it.
Okay.
That is the first official case of SHC, where it's listed as the official cause of death. And that happened in 2010. It is also the most recent, unless something came of that Jeramie thing in 2015. That person survived, so I don't know.
How do you survive human combustion?
I don't know. So apparently you can't human combust, but these things say otherwise. I have 3 more. In 1982 in London, 61-year-old Jeannie Saffin reportedly burst into flames while sitting with her family at the kitchen table. Her brother-in-law claimed the blue flame shot from her stomach. She was roaring like a dragon, he said. The kitchen wasn't damaged, but her cardigan melted. The inquest never sorted it out, but I know what I saw. At some point in the 1960s in Pennsylvania, the lower leg and slippered foot of the 92-year-old Dr. John Irving Bentley was discovered next to the toilet, surrounded by a pile of ash beneath a walking frame. Cannot think of a worse place to die than next to the toilet.
Literally, though, what I was thinking, I was like, oh god, imagine dying on the toilet.
Yeah. Imagine catching fire on the toilet.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Dude must have ate some real bad Mexican food.
Wait, didn't Elvis Presley die on the toilet?
You know that Bean Pie is one of those people that believes he's still alive, right? She told me today that that's a topic that she wants to discuss because he's still alive. And I just looked at her and I'm like, I'm gonna walk away. Like,
He literally had a heart attack on the toilet because of all the shit he ate and the fact that he wasn't shitting.
Mm-hmm.
Man was constipated as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why she didn't want to watch the movie, because we were talking about it. She's like, I don't want to see that.
I wonder if she's one of the people that believes Michael Jackson's still alive too.
I mean, if she believes that What's-Her-Face is alive, she's probably believes... Oh my god, why is my brain not working?
MJ.
If she believes Elvis Presley...
Elvis Presley. We still have a whole other episode to record after this too.
I know, my brain is mush. What the fuck
And the
is
fun
wrong
part
with me?
is, that's the episode that no preparation or notes are done for. That's straight out of the top of our heads. I'm really interested to see how that goes.
Oh god. I feel like I need to be drunker.
That can be arranged. I mean, it's worth noting, but anyway... Damn,
Should I
that's
just chug
3
the
right
rest of my
there.
drink?
I mean, yes, go for it. I'm not going to because this is red wine. And it's...
Red wine.
Anyway,
I don't
my
know the
last...
words.
The last one that I'm going to touch on... This is what I call a party trick. In 1938, Mary...
Choked on my own saliva.
In 1938, Maybelle Andrews was at a party when she reportedly burst into flames. Her fiancé...
My name's Maybelle.
Her fiancé and fellow partygoers were reportedly shocked when a flame erupted from her as she stood at the top of a staircase. I really hope that she was either making an entrance or an exit.
Do you reckon she saw an owl?
Oh, yeah, an owl did it.
An owl set fire to her.
On a staircase. That is
And then
the
she
most
fell down.
plausible explanation. Nothing else
dumb.
makes any sense. An owl did it.
My favorite thing, though, is, like, I watched the fucking Netflix documentary, and they're, like, the whole time, you're like, he fucking did it.
Yes.
And then at the end, it's, like, this owl bullshit, and it's, like, it's really plausible, and I was like, the fucking owl is the reason this bitch is dead.
An owl did
Shadiest
it!
fucking shit. It was fucking him.
Oh, 100%.
I'm so keen for the movie. Oh my god.
It's not a movie, it's a miniseries, and it's already out. It's on binge. But yeah, so that is my segment this week. I'm not really going to say case, because it was kind of multiple. That's my topic.
So there's one...
It was a
A
theme.
fish?
Yeah, there's one that is technically official.
is
Like, it's been ruled that's the cause of death.
Do you
And-
reckon, though, that coroner, like, copped a lot of flack for that?
Oh, I'm sure, because literally in the article that I read, it said the questionable choice. So, without a doubt, they did, but it adds up because, like, okay, yeah, if it was a normal fire, there'd be more evidence of destruction. And so all of these...
to have a point of origin.
Yeah. And his head was near the fireplace. It doesn't say that there was a fire burning in the fireplace at the time, but if his head was near the fireplace and the fireplace was the cause of the fire,
Why didn't
his head would be burned. So that's why I was like, oh, okay, yeah, there's some science to say that it's not legit, but explain this stuff to me, because each of these have something in there that doesn't make sense. Where is the source of the fire on the shitter?
I told you, it's a series of unfortunate events with some little fucker and his little...
Unless someone put a firecracker in Homeboy's toilet and he didn't know, and he sat down to take a dump and it shot up his woohoo and pew! There is no plausible explanation for how someone burst into flames and became a pile of ash on the crapper.
Do you reckon they would have flushed him down the toilet? Do you reckon they would have had to, like, sit there and scoop him out? I feel
I
say
feel like it would
flush
be
them, like,
very
fuck with the
disrespectful to flush someone
right, yeah,
down the
that
loo.
too, but like, can you imagine like you had the ashes of a loved one and they were really like you had an argument with them and you were like, fuck you, and you just like flush part of them down the toilet.
We need to ask Lizard if she's ever considered this. Have you ever been that mad that you just decided to grab a handful and just flush it?
Him. I've never thought about flushing him down the toilet. Please let me know.
That was my dive for the week, and that's not all that we have to say tonight. So, like I said at the top, we're about to wrap this one up, and then we're going to jump in and do our first Squatters Anonymous, our monthly bonus episode, which is unprepared. We have no notes, no research. It is literally just us talking about whatever the fuck we want to talk about at the time. And at the time of listening, or the time of release for this episode, this month's will drop tomorrow. So, you're welcome.
Woo!
And for future reference, they are going to drop on the last day of every month. So, Kirstyn, if people wanted to reach out to us to tell us that they say the word masturbate correctly and not the way that you do, or to suggest topics, to wish me a happy birthday, or just be one of our bestie bitches, how can they do so?
So if you want to send us an electronic letter telling me that you also pronounce it masturbate because you're normal,
or you're under 26 and wrong,
email us at rfimhpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to stalk us on Twitter or Instagram, it is RFIMH podcast, or you can personally stalk us at
Jeramie Gage
or at Sir Kirsty Lee. If you want to be a little bit old-fashioned, you can find us on Facebook, and that is literally just Rent Free in My Head podcast. Soup's easy. Literally, if you type that into Facebook, it'll come up. We also now have a YouTube channel, which, you guessed it, is Rent Free in My Head podcast. If you Google us, it's like the second thing that comes up, gang friends. So it's Soup's easy.
That's pretty
I
lit.
believe
I'm
in
on
you.
board with that.
It's very helpful. Especially when people are like, where can I listen? And I'm like, anywhere, bestie. Anywhere.
But yes, please, bestie bitches, let's get the word out. Let's get this to spread. Like,
just bug your friends with us. Just be like, hey, listen to these two crackheads. They're weird, but they have cool accents if you're outside of Australia. If you're inside of Australia, they're weird. They say stupid shit.
They're interesting. They have fun knowledge. Tell your friends. Tell your family.
Tell your lesbians.
Tell your neighbours. Tell your gays. Yell at randoms on the street.
Hey, you should listen to Rent Free in My Head podcast.
Scream it from the rooftops. Share it from your socials. Hire a fucking skywriter to tell the world.
That's cute.
Do whatever you need to do. Get the word out, and we will greatly appreciate you.
Because we love you.
If you can prove to us that you got some listeners on board, I don't know, we'll give you like a shout out with your own special nickname.
We'll give you a prize.
The prize is our love and affection.
It's a pretty shitty prize.
And the fact of the matter is,
I'll do it.
You don't even have to try that hard to, like, interact with us. If you send us a message, we'll talk to you. We'll just be happy at the fact that someone wants to talk to us.
I mean, unless I'm napping, then I'll be kind of annoyed.
You won't even be aware of the fact that someone is trying to talk to you. You literally had a child in your care in crisis and you slept through it. I mean, it was Emily, so it doesn't count.
Okay, but you make it seem like it was a small human. She was 16!
She's also the most dramatic human being I've ever met.
But anyway, guys, brain is not working. We appreciate you letting us. Why you give me that look?
Why are you singing?
I don't know.
I'm in danger.
Gang, I'm in danger.
Yes.
Watch The Simpsons, I know that. Anyway, thanks, gang friends, for letting us, just deal with this rental crisis by setting up our interesting thoughts in your big brains, because you are all big-brained people.
They have to be listening to us.
For shizzle, my nizzle. Whoa, whizzle.
I did have a joke, but I used it already, so that kind of went up in flames.
Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say goodnight till it be tomorrow.
Alright, besties. Was great talking to you. It was a pretty one-sided conversation, like you didn't have any input, but that's fine.
Yeah, pretty selfish of you.
We'll let it slide.
This time.
Just make sure that you come back tomorrow to join us at the first monthly meeting of Squatters Anonymous. Until then, ciao for now.
Bye.
Why are you like this?